This video is part 2 of a 4-part video series about designing and implementing online instruction. If you haven't yet viewed the first video in this series, please do that now and then return to this one. This video will discuss selecting and using appropriate instructional materials for an asynchronous online course. As with face-to-face instruction, online instruction offers many opportunities to use varied instructional materials, both print and electronic. Your students might have hard copy textbooks or packets for their classes, or you might need to locate materials yourself from electronic resources and databases. The materials you use will depend on the school that you work for and what they make available to you. But regardless of what they give you, you will be smart to consider several tips when designing online instruction and selecting and using the appropriate materials. Variety helps. Of course, you probably already know that. I've never met a teacher who designs her classes to work solely from the school-assigned textbook. English teachers supplement their instruction with works from Poetry Foundation, Grammarly, or Common Lit. Social sciences teachers might have students find online maps or resources from the Library of Congress. Mathematics teachers might use videos from Khan Academy to supplement their instruction. Across disciplines, using such resources helps us to differentiate instruction and to keep students engaged. But while we use these varied materials in online environments, we should remember that when students work in those environments, they often juggle their academic schedules around their personal commitments. Their learning environments can be full of distractions such as siblings, housekeeping, pets, neighborhood noises, and other disruptions. And for that reason, teachers would be smart to provide materials that can be divided into segments so that students can use them as their schedules permit. As you select materials for your online classes, I encourage you to resist several assumptions. Many novice online teachers mistakenly assume that a face-to-face lecture can be replicated either in written form or in PowerPoint slides or via hour-long video. Those assumptions are incorrect. Resist the urge to create an hour-long talking head lecture, even when you're using diagrams or illustrations. Research shows that students will tune out after about 10 minutes or so. So if necessary, make multiple short videos as opposed to one longer video. Also, resist the urge to transcribe your lectures into written format. That just gives your students even more content to read. It's even possible to over-rely on several short instructional videos. If students have viewed 3 or 4 short videos, maybe break up that pattern by giving them a short article to read or an assignment to do. If you have the time and the technology, you might consider providing students options for accessing information. For instance, if you can record several mini lectures and provide one longer audio version of those lectures and provide the transcript of those lectures, then students can choose which format works better for them. Of course, that takes a lot of time and energy, so you must decide whether you're able to do that, but the advantage for students is that these varied forms of information are a great way to differentiate their engagement with the information. In addition to variety, check for validity and reliability of your materials. This applies especially if you must provide the instructional materials yourself. If you rely on online materials, you must assess them for appropriateness for secondary students at the grade level that you're teaching. Remember the CRAP model for evaluating sources that you learned in your first year of college? This is a good opportunity to use that as you assess online materials for their currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. This kind of evaluation helps you to ensure that your materials are appropriate to use as a text for your course. Even when other teachers create instructional materials, videos, handouts, and study guides, and other materials, they might be inappropriate and sometimes incorrect. So look for materials that are peer-reviewed or published by reputable publishers, or endorsed by professional teaching organizations. Fortunately, many open educational resources are available for your use, and you can find them easily in different information warehouses such as Merlot, OpenStax, OER Commons, and Galileo. Finally, when selecting materials and designing materials, think about portability of those materials as well. These days, students rely heavily on their portable devices for online access. Sometimes a wireless phone is a student's only means of accessing the internet. Therefore, it makes sense to use materials that students can access on wireless phones or tablets. These formats are especially helpful when you have content that can't be completed in one short sitting. For instance, in history or English classes, students have to read longer works of literature or historical documents. Podcasts and audio versions of texts, for instance, can be very useful for online learning. Other concepts might take more than 15 minutes to explain, so students might appreciate the ability to download the materials to their tablets or phones and listen to them while they walk the dog, for instance, or while their parents are driving them out of town. Portable materials like this also help if your students have siblings who need to share the household computer. Some books in the public domain are already available in audio format via YouTube or Spotify. This concludes the second video about designing and delivering asynchronous online instruction. When you're finished with this video, please move forward to part 3.